Reading Pioneers is proud to present The Adventures of Mischief Mishka in the Big Apple. Written and edited by Amber Satterfield, illustrated by Pet Creations. Once upon a day, there was a big, fluffy dog named Mishka who lived in New York City. She was a very mischievous puppy who loved adventures and making new friends wherever she went. After her last fun adventures exploring Central Park, now known to her as Central Bark, she was ready to expand her explorations and take a bite out of the Big Apple. Where in the city do you think she is going to go to have the most ultimate time ever? Uh-oh, but first, Mishka totally forgot. She was pet sitting for a friend this summer. People pet sit fish, right? She ran into the kitchen to feed her new little friend, Pearl, the goldfish, before she left. She began telling Pearl how excited she was to tour this big city and was hoping she was going to find that big apple everyone kept talking about. She was feeling really hungry. Being new to the city, Mishka had no idea where to go first. She thought to herself, what building could I go to where I could see the whole city to better decide? On top of the Rockefeller Center? Of course! You can see everything from up there. On the top of the rock, she stood in awe of this big city she called home now. Overlooking Central Park, she remembered all the mischief she had in her last adventures. And with excitement for more, she began mapping out all the places she wanted to see now. With her list ready, she joyfully jumped into the elevator and down onto the busy street below. From the curb, she put her paw up in the air at the next NYC taxi she saw. As it came to a stop, she excitedly bounded in. Times Square, paw please, she barked at the taxi driver. Taxis don't usually allow dogs to go for rides, but her cuteness seemed to win him over. Oh, forget about it, he chuckled, and they peeled off. When they arrived at Times Square, Mishka shielded her eyes as the lights were so bright and blinding. And so many people, oh my! Mishka had never seen a place like this ever before. It was positively breathtaking. As she looked around at all the advertisements and huge screens, she began to daydream in awe. Oh, I hope one day I could be on one of those screens. After leaving Times Square, she remembered seeing a huge statue majestically standing out in the middle of the water. But how do I get there to see it? She pondered to herself. Will I have to doggy paddle in the water all the way out there? As they got closer to the water, she noticed people walking onto a boat that takes you straight to the statue. She left the driver some drooled on money, hopped out of the taxi, and got a great idea. Mischievously, she scurried up between the legs of the people in the crowd of oncoming passengers, and she snuck onto the ferry unnoticed. Yes! She thought as she rushed to the front of the boat where she could see the lady in green. The statue just kept getting bigger and bigger. When they arrived, Mishka jumped off the boat and stared up at the statue in amazement. So, this is the Statue of Liberty? When she left the statue, Mishka decided to head uptown. Outside of the taxi window, she noticed this large building with a grand staircase to the front door welcoming its guests. The Metropolitan Museum of Art houses some of the world's most sought after pieces of art. But it wasn't the art that Mishka found interesting. Ooh! Mishka awed as something next to the entrance caught her eye. Another water fountain! Filled with water just like the Bethesda fountain, but with streams of water dancing and bursting towards the sky. She couldn't help herself. She threw the car door open and jumped out of the taxi. Sprinting as fast as she could, she met the water with a big splash that sprayed all the people around with water. Oops, Mishka said sheepishly to the wet crowd. Can I offer you a free pup wash? She asked with an apologetic smirk that left the people smiling and coming to pet her. All wet and tired from all the adventures in the city that day, Mishka and her mom took a stroll through Central Park to head back home. As much fun as Central Park had to offer in her first adventures, this time Mishka experienced something even more incredible. As with most 4th of July celebrations in the US, fireworks rose up with a boom and a bang, lighting up the night sky. Ohs and ahs came from all the spectators as they were mesmerized by the spectacle of magic. Mishka and her mom sat down by the pond, cuddled up, and enjoyed the show. On a very beautiful autumn day during sunset, Mishka came across a bridge that towered across the water from Manhattan Island to Brooklyn. On the bridge, there were lots of people walking, talking, and taking photos of them doing yoga poses. Mishka looked at her mom. Hey, I can do my down dog on the Brooklyn Bridge! And she ran to the middle of the bridge to show off her little stretch. Pa Master, my fellow dogginess. With autumn comes Halloween, and Mishka was so excited to dress up and roam the streets in search of lots of treats for her tricks. She was even more excited about what she was going to dress up as. Every day she sees police officers coming and going from work right in front of her apartment building. She pondered, hot dignity! How cool would it be to dress up as a canine police dog? Watch out, criminals of New York City! This Halloween, I'm dressing up as a NYPD police patrol. So don't go barking up the wrong tree this Halloween, she chuckled as she got ready for a night of fun. Thanksgiving came around, and what's the best part about New York City during Thanksgiving? The Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. Mishka walked up Central Park, admiring all of the remarkable parade balloons and floats go by. What a fur-tactic treat to see them in person! But as she got towards the end of the show, she began to get really giddy as she saw Santa's sleigh. But where was Santa? She thought. Unable to hold in her excitement, she sprinted towards the last float and jumped in the seat of the sleigh. Move over, Santa. I'm driving the sleigh this year, she chuckled as she put on Santa's hat and settled in for the parade. Ho, ho, ho! Mishka barked as she joyfully waved to the crowd. During the holidays in New York City, a massive tree gets delivered to the Rockefeller Center. In reality, it was so much bigger than she anticipated. Covered in lights as high as the towering buildings that accompanied it. Millions of people come from all over the world to the square to view the bright lights atop the tree. Mishka was no different. She had to go and see this tree for herself. "More the terrier," she said as she slid through the crowd of people to get a closer look. "Pardon me, barking through." That night, when Mishka arrived home, she was inspired and wanted to help her mom put up the lights on the tree like they had on the Rockefeller tree. "Let's deck the paws, Mom," Mishka woofed as she hopped to the box where the tree decorations were kept. But in all of her excitement, she just got tangled up in all of the cords. "Okay, maybe I'm not much help when it comes to decorating. I'll leave that to you, Mom," chuckled Mishka as her mom laughed and worked on getting Mishka unraveled. "Thanks for your help, Mishka, but it's getting late now. So why don't you go get ready for bed with your brother? We will finish this tomorrow," her mom said as she kissed her goodnight and sent her off. Filled with so much exhaustion and joy, she pranced through her apartment with a new appreciation of New York City. Even with all of the adventures she had, there were still so many things she wasn't able to explore. So many adventures still to be had, she thought with anticipation. But not today. Pawing her sleepy eyes and crawling into bed next to her little old man brother, Louis, she told him all about the places that she had explored. Story after story, Mishka went on until they both started to yawn. "Ah, good night, brother," Mishka said. "There will be many more mischievous adventures to be had." And they both closed their eyes and fell fast asleep. Not the end. More adventures to be continued. Thank you, Pioneers, for reading with us today to the book The Adventures of Mischief Mishka in the Big Apple by Amber Satterfield. I'm super envious of Mishka's time in New York City because I've never been there. From all of the great sites and places she visited, I got a sense of what it was like to not only visit New York, but also get a feel of being a New Yorker. You can learn more about this book series, The Adventures of Mischief Mishka, the author and even upcoming books to this growing series on theadventuresofmischiefmishka.com or Amber's Instagram account at adventuresmischiefmishka_chai. There are more books on the way, so I highly recommend visiting her site to be one of the first to find out what other adventures Mishka goes on. I'm so thankful to read this book, which was provided by Amber. It was a pleasure reading the first book of the series, The Adventures of Mischief Mishka in Central Park, which is linked in the description below if you want to check it out. If you have a book you'd like to be read on this channel, please send me an email, contact@readingpioneers.com, so we can turn it into the next video. Also, it would really help the channel if you like the video, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to stay updated with future read-alouds coming soon. Unfortunately, this is it for today. Remember to visit Amber's website, theadventuresofmischiefmishka.com, to help support Amber for the incredible work she put into this book series. And for more read-aloud content and children's books, you can visit my YouTube channel, Reading Pioneers Academy. Thanks again, readers, for joining us today, and until next time, I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye!